Hey, welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonato. The Black Knight Nation podcast is brought to you by Higher Echelon, a company run by Joe Ross, who is a former Army fullback, former Army captain, soldier, also a guest on the Black Knight Nation podcast. Check our archives out on YouTube. We just had an interview with Mike Wright. He was part of the Miracle at Mikey game. Caught that pass. I sent it to overtime. Mike Wright, great interview. Check it out. Lil Garthwaite's also on there too recently. And now we're going to welcome in 2024 Army football captain Kyle Lewis to the podcast. Kyle, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Sal.
Man, it's a busy part of Army football, right? Camp opens tomorrow. You're part of it. You're an athletic intern. You're going to be on the coaching side of things, but you're doing a really great thing for a great cause coming up in September. Want to talk about that too. Major reason why we had you coming on. An Ironman, Kyle. You're going for an Ironman. You're playing defensive line for Army maybe less than a year ago, and now you're going to an Ironman in September. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about how that came about and what you're doing it for.
Yeah, so football has been a pretty big part of my life for several years, and it's something that takes a lot of energy, a lot of practice, a lot of training just to prepare for one event, the game. And so now football was over, and I kind of had this thing now. I was all right. Well, now what's the next hard thing that I can do? And before football, I was really into running and mountain biking. And in Arizona, I would just go out in the desert. And I was like, well, what's something really hard I can do? And I was like, yeah, an Ironman. So I kind of look into it. I'm like, yeah, I think I could do it. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and then I start researching what it really takes, and then I kind of just started the journey of training for it. And then I was able to meet Jason Van Camp, who is an Army football alumni, and he runs a Warrior Rising Foundation. And I was like, hey, I would really like to fundraise for this foundation, like if this is possible to get it done. So we talked, we got it worked out, and they gave me a jersey to race in, and they got me a website set up, and I've just been sending it out to people, just trying to raise money for a good cause.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, giving back, right? To, I guess, can you talk to us a little bit about Warrior Rising and what they do? Maybe can you talk about their mission?
Yep. So it's a nonprofit organization for veterans. It's really aimed at helping veterans start their own businesses and employing veterans. So it's a veteran run, veteran owned, and their main goal is to help veterans. And so I think it's a really important cause. I wish there were more organizations that did it and more people that did it, but usually it's just veterans that are trying to help veterans out for the most part. So I'm not a veteran yet, but I'm in the Army, and I would hope that there's some people out there once I get out of the Army that will give me opportunities to do things. So I'm just trying to give back to the community. I know that there's a lot of people that gave a lot of their life and sacrificed a lot to serve the country, and I think it's special, and I think it's my duty to be able to serve those.
That's awesome. You talked about like running and mountain biking in Arizona, but the Ironman's a little different, Kyle, right?
Yes, it is.
What's your training like? When do you start? I know from what I can remember, the swimming is the first part of it, right?
Yep. Swim, bike, and then run.
Yeah. So how does one go about training? I mean, I know you've been, did your military training at West Point, and that's tough in itself, but now you got like an Ironman to do, right? I mean, what have you been doing to start like preparing for this?
It's definitely a lot. Before I graduated, I didn't have a bike yet because I was still making cadet pay, and the bikes are a little expensive. But I did as much biking as I could on a stationary bike in Arvin Gym, swam in the pool in Arvin. They have open hours Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings. So I would go in there, and then running, you can just run. So I built my run a lot. I made a running program, did a lot of research on running programming, and made a running program. And that got me pretty solid in the run. I was able to get good at swimming. My mom was a swimmer in college at
Hmm.
San Jose State, so I kind of would call her for tips on swimming. So I was trying to learn how to swim over the phone, which is a little difficult, but I'm getting better at it. And then now, once I graduated, I got a bike, started a full training program. So now I'm about training about 20 hours a week right now. I think it's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a lot,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's what 20 hours a week of training is a lot of working out, and then nutrition is a huge aspect too. So I've just been doing a lot of research, talking to some people here at the academy that do Ironmans. There's a few individuals here. I've gone on runs with them, gone on bikes with them, talked nutrition with them. Dr. Allen, Lieutenant Colonel Marione, and they've given me some great advice. But a lot of it's just kind of learning on the go, talking to individuals about what's the best way to go about it, because there's 1,000 different ways to skin the cat. So I've just kind of gather as much information as I can, tailor it to my current circumstances and situation, and then just do the best I can, train as much as I can, try to train smart. Some trial and error with some nutrition and how much to eat, how much to drink, all that stuff. So
September 28th in Chattanooga is the Ironman, right?
yes,
Is
sir.
this something that is it something that you could see yourself doing a little bit more of? You think this will be your first and last, or what do you think about the future?
There's a I'll be doing a second one mid-November, November 16th. It's in Arizona.
Hmm.
So I'll be doing those two. I probably won't be doing more fulls for a while, just because now I know how much training volume and how much time it takes to train. And I know that's going to be very extremely difficult, if not borderline impossible to do while, starting my Army career. But I
Yeah.
think I'll definitely do half Ironmans. I think that's a still a difficult race to do, and you can try to work to get faster at those without having to train 20 hours a week. So right now I'm just like, I'm gonna do these two, and then I'll do some halves while I'm in the Army. But I don't know if I'll have as much time as I do right now once I'm done being an AI.
No doubt. You get to go home to Arizona a little bit, close to home. You'll be running that marathon, or no?
Yep, about 20 minutes from my house.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That'd be great for you to get back home. Want to talk to you a little bit about your Army football career and your West Point experience. And normally on these podcasts, when we get these started, we talk about the journey to West Point and how you were recruited. I don't know if maybe you can go into your story about your recruiting story at Arizona. Arizona is a state where Army does recruit pretty well in. So what got you to the West Point? What was your kind of recruiting story to get to West Point?
So I'd say like I wasn't very heavily recruited right before my junior year. Had to get an ankle surgery, so I didn't play my junior year. So as most people know in the recruiting process, that's kind of like the big year. Um, but my summer going into my senior year, I came up here for one of the camps that they host here, and I'd never played outside linebacker before, but I was a 205 pounds, and I was playing defensive end in high school, and they put me with the outside linebackers, and I ended up getting the linebacker MVP for the camp. And so that's kind of when my journey started, and kind of started communicating with the coaches. And then as my senior season went on, I was sending them film after every game. And then about halfway through the season, they gave me an offer, and they said, if you'll go to the prep school, because my grades were good, but they weren't, direct good, I don't think. So they kind of took a chance on me, and gave me an opportunity, and I just tried to do the best I can and capitalize on the opportunity that was given to me.
Did you have military in your family? Did you know about? I mean, you went to the West Point camp, so was that something that you kind of wanted to do growing up, or no?
I always wanted to be in the Army. I didn't really know about West Point early on. The thing I wanted to do my whole life was serve in the military. Um, I always wanted to. My dream growing up was like Delta Force. That was kind of my thing. I wanted to go. I want to be Delta Force. Wanted to, maybe be a Green Beret.
Hmm.
But I was going to enlist out of high school, and then I found out about West Point, and I was like, "Oh, it's the Army. I can also continue to play football, possibly." I was like, Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You go the prep school route, and then I guess you build a lot of relationships there that the brotherhood forms a little bit in the at the army prep, right? And then what was that experience like for you? Because that kind of prepares you. You're playing in a defense, probably you're playing in Coach Woody's defense there. How much did that prepare you for what you were going to get at? You know,
I think it was vital. I think if I didn't go to prep, I probably would have gotten cut. I think I didn't really come here uh, to play football.
hmm.
I came here to be in the army, and football kind of got me in the door. So I wasn't fully invested in football yet. So I wasn't the best football player at prep. If you asked one of my teammates, they probably would have said I'd be the first one to get cut once we got here. Um, and then like at prep, we would have practice, and I would go on rucks. I would go on runs because the army was really what I wanted to do. And then my freshman year, pretty soon after camp, I came up here to talk to my coach about quitting. And
Huh.
at the time, then was Major Powers. He's now Coach Powers.
Yep.
Sat me down and talked to me. He was like, "I know you want to be super high speed and super who do all this cool stuff, but he's like, you're going to be an officer, and the best thing to prepare you to be an officer in the army is going to be playing army football." And so I stuck with it, and I went all in with it, and you know I think it served me well, and I made a lot of really good friends. I don't regret it one bit, but I think if I didn't have that year at prep where I kind of learned from that, I don't I wouldn't have had the experience or the career that I had here.
What your freshman year? What do you think? Was it really early in like preseason camp that you went up to the coaches and said I'm done, or
Uh, it was about right after camp, probably about a month or so after camp. I was like, yeah,
it
this
just
isn't
wasn't?
what I'm
It
gonna
just
do.
wasn't fulfilling. What you just weren't getting what you wanted out of it.
It was more. I don't think it was that. I think in me being young, I didn't fully connect the parallels between playing football and being in the army. And then once Major Powers had kind of connected those for me and put them in perspective, that's when I was like, okay, I can kind of see this now.
At freshman year, are you working your way up? Are you scout teaming a little bit, or what was
Yep.
freshman year like for you once
Yep.
you said, okay, I'm in?
Yep. I was a scout team guy for a while, traveled a little bit, got to play in a couple games at the end of the games when we were, winning. Um, I think it was only like 3 games because I didn't later that year. So I traveled a little bit towards the end of the year, got to get in a couple games, and then that was kind of my freshman year. Most of it was on scout team.
What's it kind of like to like get that confidence up, or just work your way up the depth chart, literally? Because by sophomore year, you're making an impact. You're playing nose tackle, which you're probably super undersized for the position, right, Kyle? At that point, but you're solidifying the defense too. What was that sophomore year like? When freshman year, are you playing outside mostly? Um,
So I was recruited to play outside linebacker. By the time I came here as a freshman, I had already been moved to defensive end. And then they were kind of playing with me at nose and end. And I was probably around 235, 240 at that point. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get bigger. So I got up to about 265. Um, wasn't the best 265. So I kept having some soft tissue injuries, couldn't move very well. So there was a little bit of feeling out where my weight should be. And then I just kept learning the defense, just kept, asking older guys questions, watching how they played the game, watching how they approached practice, how they approached preparation, and then just kept learning and learning and learning. And then eventually, once your number gets called, if you just have spent the time preparing when nobody else saw, when it's not your time, you're not under the lights yet. When your number is called, you'll be ready.
what do you say your playing weight was when you were maybe sophomore junior year?
So my junior year, once I started at nose, I was 245.
Wow. What's that like being in the trenches at that weight where but your job is to occupy as many blockers as you can to free up the inside linebackers to make plays, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what's that? That is that a battle every snap, or how would? But you got to use your quickness there, no doubt, right? Or no?
Yeah, I had my strengths and my weaknesses. I was able to I was a really strong guy. I was only 245, but I was really strong. I was very powerful, and I was quick. Um, I'd get moved sometimes, but more often than not, I was able to hold my ground
Hmm.
pretty well. I mean, I've always been undersized. I played O line and D line in high school at 205, so I was used to being undersized for my position. Um, so I don't know. It never really bothered me that people were bigger than me, and I kind of took pride in it. That like 330-pound dudes aren't going to move me. It doesn't matter how light I am. Technique will win. So I got really good technically, and that saved me a lot of times.
No doubt. I'm trying to think. What can you talk about? What the honor of being named the captain by your teammates was for your senior year? That had to be like like you said, you paid your dues at the prep school, you worked your way up, and now I don't know. Freshman Kyle Lewis could see coming down the road. Now he's captain of the Army football team his senior year.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely still one of the biggest honors of my life. Some of my best friends, my brothers, naming me as one of the guys to lead the team. And it's a huge responsibility, and I know that sometimes that means not being liked, because sometimes people don't like being held to a standard, but I think it's necessary. And I don't know, I just tried to be myself, and I think people saw that, and they saw how hard I worked, and they really respected me, and they respected the fact that I wasn't afraid to speak up. There's times I would, if something's wrong, I'm going to say it. I'm not too concerned about being liked. I'd rather be respected than liked. So I wasn't afraid to speak up and call people out, and I think people really respected me for it, and they knew that I was going to show up every day, and work. I think they felt like they could count on me, and so I just try to be that guy that people can count on and depend on.
Senior year, 2024, you moved back to the outside defensive end. Cody Harris Miller emerges as a nose tackle. You got Cody Weineker also there. Jacob Tuiotti's in the mix there. How did that? I think that was a big move for you guys to have part of the season that you had on defense to move you to the outside and have Cody play that inside on the defensive line. What did you think of how the success you guys were able to have with your defense? Because when you guys at the start of the 2024 season, your defense was playing lights out from almost the beginning, so to speak. Well, how do you think that kind of helped you guys?
I think it's a team effort.
Mm.
There was a lot of guys, especially in the senior class. There were no egos. I know that there was only four captains, but I would say that there were leaders everywhere. In every single position room, there was strong leaders, and I think there was a lot of good opportunities for the captains to get with the senior class and have everybody take ownership and leave their ego at the door, and everybody was on the same page that it's all about the team. Nobody was concerned about themselves, and I think that's why we were successful. I think we kind of built that culture, and I think it'll carry over. Some of the young guys seeing what it takes to be successful and understand that there's you as an individual aren't what matters. It is the team. And I remember Coach Woody asking me like if I wanted to play defensive end, which end would I want to play? And I was like, Coach, I don't wherever you think I can help the team most. I really don't care. I'll do whatever. And I think that's what we had. We had a lot of guys that just said, I don't care what I do. I will do whatever it takes to help the team.
Man, it really showed that last season, certainly with the 12 wins and winning the American Conference title in the first season that the Black Knights were in the league. I know that in the middle of the season, maybe you got a little banged up, weren't able to finish the season on the field. But I can imagine that your impact, I see you at practices, I saw you on the field during the games. I mean, your impact as that captain, you took that captain role, no doubt, like you said, pretty seriously, whether you were able to play or not, right? What did that mean to you to just, even though maybe you couldn't finish out your career on the field, to have still that role and that responsibility?
Yeah, I think I knew that, like, I'm me as an individual player. Like, I wasn't going to win the game whether I was playing or not. But I know that it's my job to, especially as a senior, to develop the younger guys to make sure that they're ready, like the older guys before me did with me, to make sure that I was ready. So I just took some younger guys under my wing and try to teach them as best I can, mentor them, and then they'll do the same with this class. The seniors will take the younger guys under their wing and show them what it means to be an Army football player, what it means to play D line here, what it means to be a cadet, what it means to do the right thing.
Yeah, you're still part of the team, right? This season, you're an athletic intern. Are you? I'm guessing you're working on the defensive side with the defensive line, or no?
I'm working with equipment, so I wasn't going to be an AI
Okay.
originally. Um, I was able to find a spot for me to stay after I tore my ACL, and I wasn't going to be able to start Bullock on time. So I was like, I would rather stay here around the team and be with these guys and help these guys if I can't go start my Army career. Um, so they found me a spot working as the equipment AI. So honestly, I think it's better because I'm the closest to the locker room now. I'm right outside the locker room, so I get to see those guys every day. So if anything, I get more touch points with the players now, which is kind of how I like it, because I can observe more, I can see a lot more, and like I talk to some of the leaders on the team and just tell them what I see, and some of them, they come ask me questions and pick my brain about stuff.
Um, the guys that you talked about that you kind of took under your wing last season, the younger guys coming up, a guy that I want to talk to you about for a second was Javon Smith.
Mm,
I see the weight room stuff. I see him on the field during the spring. I see a guy who's just about ready to emerge as to help out the depth of the defensive line. Can you tell us a little bit about Javon and what, kind of what maybe is he one of the guys that you kind of were mentoring,
yeah,
last year?
yeah. Javon is probably one of the best kids I've ever met in my life. He is a hard worker. He's a worker, and he kind of reminded me a little bit of myself when he came in. He was a little bit lighter, but extremely strong, extremely powerful, more stronger and more powerful than I ever was.
Hmm.
So that really makes me excited. And he's put on some weight, so now he's bigger than I was too. So I'm like, he's bigger than me, he's stronger, he's more powerful, and he is a hard worker. And he is definitely one of those guys that is just selfless, and he will help anybody at any time. He will do whatever it takes to help the team. So I'm really excited about him.
Yeah, I think Army fans are wondering like who are, because usually, Kyle, there's a guy that emerges, right? That maybe didn't get the playing time the year before. I think of last year, Cody Harris Miller, that guy being on defense, one of those guys. There's going to be multiple guys like that just step up, and that's what maybe in closing you could talk about what the Football Brotherhood's all about. I mean, you were through it for 4 years. Now you got a chance to be around it a little bit more. It's something that you probably, like you said, like to stay around for as long as you can to soak it up. What's that been like for you?
I think if I had one word to sum it up, it is accountability. I think I've never been a part of a team where the level of accountability is as high as it is here. I think guys will pretty much do anything for each other. I think, like, people's best friends are the people on this team. The people that they hang out with are the people on this team. There was a whole bunch of weddings over the summer for some of my classmates, and like, people at the wedding were were the teammates. So I
Hmm.
think it really, you go through a lot, especially with your class over for some guys 5 years together. and you get really close. It's a lot of shared suffering, and it's a lot of accountability and learning how to compete and how to win, how to compete against each other, but win together.
No doubt. Maybe you could tell the people watching this podcast maybe the information about your Ironman, and let them know where they can go to kind of support the cause, so to speak.
Yeah. So I have a web page set up that has my bio and kind of the just quick facts of the Ironman and what I'm doing, and then embedded in it is just a link that just takes you to the donation on their website. So, I mean, if you just go Google Warrior Rising, go to their website and just click donate, and you can donate however much you want.
Yeah, appreciate it. We'll put that in the description of this podcast. We'll get that link in the description of the
Yep.
podcast too, so
I can
people
send
can
you that
follow
link.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
no problem.
So,
Kyle, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks so much for joining us. And man, Army football starts tomorrow. We can't wait to be on the field as Black Knight Nation. We'll have Seth Mendelson there at the first practice, and it's gonna be another fun season. And look forward to seeing you around the team. And all the best to you in that Ironman. Good luck with that, Kyle. I know you'll do a great job with that. And
thank you.
thanks so much for today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. It's an honor.